friends, Queen of Flannel here. Welcome back to the channel. So today I am doing my completed pages video. So this is going to be summer up through October. I kind of decided a while back that if I didn't feel like I finished enough in the month to warrant doing a video for a single month, that I would just wait and do like kind of a compilation. And so I had actually taken a fair break from art and coloring even before I decided to start filming again. So we're gonna do, this is I'd say probably July through October today. And I had hoped to have this out last Thursday, and we had a tree removed Wednesday, and they damaged the cable line for our internet. So I had to have my internet service provider come out the following day and take a look at it, and they had to replace the wire from the house to the utility pole, and then some pieces actually inside the house. So, but back up and running. So let me move these out of the way and we will get started. So first book that we'll take a look at, this is Momo Girl, Music and Girl, and I think I've got one completed in here. So this is this was from I believe July August time frame, and was one of the first things I did when I kind of started coming back to coloring. And this was done with, oh, what happened there? This was done with the luminance pencils, and I'm pretty pleased with the way it worked out. I really like the colors I used for her hair. I don't very often use my black colored pencils, but for this one I did end up pulling the black out, and I think I also used some of my the dark indigo, which has become one of my favorite shadow colors, especially with the luminance pencils. I will say though that this paper was difficult to blend on, and I still have quite a few, like you can see the tooth of the paper through here. So at some point I might go in and mess around with it, or you know, the texture of it I feel like kind of lends itself to the image. I kind of like the gritty look to it. I may do a background at some point now that I've started to experiment with some different mediums and get a little more comfortable with backgrounds. But yeah, so this was the one image I finished in here, and then I think there was one more that like I was just messing around with, trying to, no, it wasn't this one. So the next one is the other Momo Girl. This is Cyan Girl. And so I did this image again with the luminance pencils, and I was just kind of messing around. Her hair's got kind of a cartoonish look to it, but I thought she was cute, and I do again like the texture that these pencils left on the paper. So that was kind of a stylized choice to again keep it fairly gritty. And luminance pencils, again, I guess I was favoring those over the summer. And there's no videos of these on the channel. This was before I decided to start recording again. So, and I will link to a I will link to each of the books in the description below. I believe I got these off of Etsy. No, Amazon. I got mine off of Amazon, but I know you can get them off of Etsy as well. Next one is Kirby's Mythic World, and I've started quite a few pages in here. I should have marked these so that it would be easier to get to them. Where are you? This one. So I did this image in Mythic World, started over the summer, and then I finished this while I was out of town for work. And I did work off of a reference photo for this one that I found on Pinterest, and it was a limited color palette. I think I started out with maybe five pencils, and by the end I was up to seven or eight. But it was pretty a pretty concise color palette. And of course, because the image I was working off of was done digitally, it was a little hard to translate, but I really like how this one came out, except for the background. I used the luminance pencils again, and I wish that I had not used them for my background. I feel like trying to do pencil work on backgrounds, for me, I hit a point where I get frustrated and I just start changing the direction of my pencil strokes, and it ends up just coming out messy. And despite my best efforts to blend it out, I had thought about taking the texture touch up to this page and doing something different with the background, but I also have a habit of overworking an image. So, but yep, I finished this one while I was working out of town, and I really like the way it came out. It's different. Yeah, so that was my Kirby image, and that's Mythic World. So the next one, let me see if I can grab these without ripping my microphone off. So the next image is from Mythographic Avary. This was one of the newer books that came out, I think, September, October, and I have decided that I am going to do the entire book primarily using this 24 set, the basic set of the column markers from Ohuhu. And I can use anything like additional over top. I can use my jelly rolls, I can use my paint pens. If I want to go in with pencils, I've granted myself that, but the base for all of the images, I can only use those I have to use those 24 markers. And so this was the first completed image that I did in this book. I have one more that I'm working on, but this was the column markers and some luminance pencils for some shading and detail work. And I called this one done, but as I sit and look at it, I need to go back in and finish up my trees. And this kind of reminded me of like the if you were an 80s 90s kid, you probably remember Reading Rainbow with LeVar Burton, and the way this turned out just kind of reminded me of like the opening sequence from Reading Rainbow, where all of the characters from like the books had that really like painterly quality to it. But I thought it came out pretty cute, and I went with definitely a very like texturized, stylized look to this, especially on the skin. And that's been one of the things that I've been experimenting with the alcohol markers, is using non-standard colors for my shadows. And I mean, since I'm working on a limited palette with just the 24 markers, I had to get creative anyways. So I really like the purple kind of accent on some of these shadows here. But yeah, so I got that one that I've done, and then I took a break on it, so I haven't really gotten very far with it. But I have this the stained glass looking image, and I started with some of the marker base, and then I started doing some of the pencil work on the bricks, and then I kind of stepped back because I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to continue this, so I put it aside, and eventually I will come back to it. It's kind of one of those things that like I probably will go through and do all of the blue on these. I've found that with the mythographic books, sometimes the easiest thing to do is to just pick one object and finish it, and it kind of separates the rest of the elements of the page. A lot of times they're very detailed, and they're very condensed, and it can be hard to like separate things. So eventually I will come back to this whip. So that's Mythographic Avary. Next one is a whip, and again I've also put this one aside. I started with the astronaut, and I really like how the suit came out and the helmet. And again, this was Luminance pencils. And again, I attempted to do a background with pencils, and not a fan of how it came out. I don't know if it's the Luminance pencils, if I went in too heavy-handed, and then had a hard time like blending things out. And so it definitely looks really like choppy. So I wasn't too pleased with that. But when I sat back and kind of looked at it, I was like, it has a almost like a Van Gogh Starry Night texture quality to it, and I think that I could probably work with that to incorporate it into the image as a stylized choice. But I started feeling like I was overthinking it and overworking it, so I started working on some of the little bugs and things like that, and then trying to figure out what I was going to do with the tree. And I feel like I went a little too dark with this for the start, so now I have to kind of figure out how I can pull this color into another element on the page, because right now it just doesn't feel like cohesive. So yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, if I might end up like pulling that down here into the ground and have that just be not unhappy with it, but kind of have to stop and think about it for a little bit. So that's Alien Worlds. Maybe sometime this year I'll finish a picture in this book. And so now we are getting up into the Halloweeny images. So the first two I did off camera. There's no videos for these, but it was kind of in the midst of coming back to filming. And so the first one I did was the werewolf page, and if I can get this in here. This actually didn't take me as long to finish as I thought it was going to. I'd say maybe 15 or so hours over the course of like a week or two. So the background on this was gel crayons. I used the King Art gel crayons and some of the Faber-Castell gelatos for my background, and this is the first time I have ever used gel crayons for anything, but especially a background. So all of this turquoise color, I used it in the moon and a little bit on the werewolf face, and on the foreground down here. And then I had trouble getting the corners to be as dark as I wanted. So some of this is gel crayon, some of the black is gel crayon, and some of it is accented with colored pencil. And then the trees and the bats were all done with the Ohuhu acrylic paint markers. And these are really nice. Now, they have two sides to them. They have this rounded nib on one side, and totally lost my train of thought. They have the rounded nib on one side, which I used to do the bigger areas, and then I used the smaller detail nib to fill in around it. Now, the only issue I had with these was that the larger rounded nib started to fray and got kind of fuzzy. I've only used a couple of the markers in this set, so I'm not sure if that's going to be an issue with the rest of the markers. But, and then the other side has this fine nib on it, but it worked really well and definitely sped up the coloring of all of those trees. I thought about doing it in pencil, but then I figured my werewolf would pretty much just like blend into the trees. And then I started doing the bats and some of the the little birds and things like that, little like the crows, and lost a lot of them in the trees. So as I got over here near his tail, I switched and used the brown marker. The only issue with that is, again, it wasn't a huge deal with the black, like losing all of Kirby's lines on the black, but it looked weird to me with the brown. And so I ended up going in with some pencils and trying to add some of that detail back into the ones that I chose to color brown. And all of the pencil work on this was done with Prismacolors, and so pretty happy with how this guy turned out. I generally avoid doing large spaces with colored pencils, let alone with the Prismacolors, but he is all Prismacolor. And then the foreground down here, So this was kind of a happy little accident, and I will have to see if I can recreate it on other paper. But I used the gel crayon down here to do this, to do the ground, to base the ground with, and it came out looking really flat. So I went in with the Prismacolors, and then I came in with my Gamsol marker. So I have a empty Copic marker that I filled with Gamsol and used to blend, and I wasn't sure how it was going to react with the gel crayon, and it actually gave it this really neat like texture. Let's see if we can. But yeah, it gave it this really cool like look, and it definitely made it not look as flat as it did with just the gel crayon. And then I went back in and with one of the other paint markers and outlined the moon because I didn't like the black lines around it. And trying to think if there was anything else with this funky that I did. I can't really think of anything. It was pretty easy in terms of like supplies and just messing around, and yeah. So that's my werewolf. And that is from Kirby's Mythomorphia. And our next one, this was also just something I did for myself, and this really, like, I think it took me about an hour and a half to 2 hours ish. It was super simple. This is from the Pop Manga Cute and Creepy coloring book by Camilla Dorico, and it is the Poltergeist page. And so this is pretty much all gel crayons. I used the King Art and some of the Faber-Castell Gelatos, and I used it over the entire paper, including over the little girl, just to keep the tone throughout the whole thing. And then I went in with Prismacolors and did her hair and some of the detail work on the TV, the little teddy bear on her pajamas. And then you can't really see it, and unfortunately it didn't come out the way that I would have liked, but I used glow in the dark paint on her face, the TV, and little ghost up here. It's actually up on my Instagram. So if you're not following me over on Instagram, I will put my user ID up on the screen. And I'm not sure if it was the color of the glow in the dark paint that I used, because it came in like a pack with different colors, and I think I used the neutral, and I probably should have gone with the white. But either way, I still thought it came out pretty cute, and it was super quick to do, and I got to play around with some supplies that I haven't really played around with, so yeah, so there's that. Pop Manga Cute and Creepy. And now we are into the images from October, and all three of these have videos that go with them. So this was the first thing I filmed for October, and it is a 3-part video. I'll pop a thing to part 1 up on the top. If you don't like clowns, look away. So this was the first thing we did for October, and really the first like big video that I did coming back. I used a lot of different mediums on this page. So we started out with the hair, and it's a combination of Ohuhu and Copic markers on her hair. And then in part 2, we worked on her face, and it was Prismacolors. I used Prismacolors on her face and a little bit of the alcohol markers for some of the shading. And the background, we did the background, and that is gel crayons again. And then the last part, we did the balloons, and these were with Ohuhu and Copics. And then we came over and did her little collar ruffle over here. And there's a little bit of alcohol marker and some of the deepest shadows. And then I went in with Prismacolor. I don't remember off the top of my head what color Prismacolor it was. Eggshell, maybe. But yeah, just to add some color into her little collar there. So I like how she turned out. And this book is this is Anastasia Ellie Caldereva's Listen to the Wind. This is her newest book. And then our next one was a speed color. And we worked on Matchstick Mouse Pumpkin Party coloring book by Morgan O'Brien. And this was just a quick little project. I think I did this in a couple hours over the course of maybe half of a day. And it is done with Prismacolors. I love how Matchstick Mouse came out, and I ended up using the colors for her hat that they used on the front cover of the book. And I have 2 Christmas Matchstick Mouse books that I hope we'll be able to work in next month because they're so adorable. I'm trying to think if there's anything else with this one. Nah, this was pretty simple. Prismacolors and nothing else, nothing fancy. Just cuteness. And there is a video on the channel for this one as well. And our last one for the month, for October, is this PDF from Christine Caron, Autumn Forest Witch. In it's a grayscale image, and I did this entire image with 6 orange Ohuhu markers. It was kind of ended up being a well, I mean, I did it as a monochrome for my monochrome challenge, and my last image of the month. And for Erica over at Elm Colors was hosting Witchtober, and so I did it as part of her hashtag that she was hosting for the month. And I like the way it came out. There's a video for this one up on the channel. It was fun to work on, and it was nice to just stick to a limited color palette. I decided I was going to do it all in orange, and then when I started trying to pick colors, I was like, why not just restrict it even more, and just picked 6 markers out of my 320 Ohuhu set and just went to town. And it took me I'd say I finished it in probably about a day. I worked on it for a little bit and then went and did other things and came back and worked on it a little bit more, and yeah. So this was my last image for the month. So I didn't really finish a whole lot in the month of October, but you know, it is what it is at this point, and kind of my thought process now is, you know, I don't want to blow through images just to make videos. I want to keep it to things that I enjoy and actually complete projects rather than have like a million whips. So, you know, but yeah, thank you guys so much for all of your support. I super appreciate it. And if you enjoy the content and you want to see more, be sure to like, sub, and hit the bell to get notified when I post future videos. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much.